Welcome back, guys. So part two, because again, it's just easy to break into two parts. This is when we kind of get into the harder things. This first one, example 5a, it's a combination of a bunch of things. Don't let the different format freak you out. So we have 2 minus x plus 1. I'm just going to roughly sketch the parent function of our radical equation. It'll look like this. Well, this one, let's list out what's going to happen. This one is going to be shifting. Don't let the negative freak you out, okay? It's a negative x. That's a negative on the inside of the grouping symbol. So we are going to have a reflection about our y-axis. We are going to be going right 2, okay? There's a reflection on your y, right? But there's a positive 2. You're not going to go left 2. You're going to go right 2. It changes the direction of this one as well. So right 2, and then you're going up 1. Okay? So let's go ahead and do the start point of our graph. It's going to be starting at our right 2 up 1. I'm going to do it in purple. Right 2 up 1. That's right here. Okay? So we can do a couple of things. Like, let's just pick probably the easiest one, like plot to point. We can just pick the number 1. Okay? So I'm going to plug a 1 in. F of 1 equals the square root of 2 minus x, or aka, we're plugging in a 1, minus 1, and then add 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1. The square root of 1 is 1. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. So that means the first coordinate we can graph is at 1, 2. So we go over here, we go over to 1, and we go up 2, 1, 2. So notice again, it's reflecting the opposite way because it's reflecting about the y-axis. So it's going the opposite way of our other one. And so let's pick about probably one more point, and then we can plug in. So let's pick something a little bit bigger, but it's going to have to be on the left side because it is reflecting. So let's pick like negative 2. We'll do that one. So f of, I need to change it to a pen. F of 2 equals the square root of 2 minus parenthesis 2 plus 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0, and so 1. So that means the next coordinate we can plot is going to be 2, 1. So we go over. Oh, wait. I'm so silly. Sorry, guys. That needs to be a negative 2. Goodness gracious. Negative 2. Plug in a negative 2. Because we can't go to the right because it reflects. Okay. So, hold on. 1 second. Sorry. Plugging in a negative 2. So 2 minus a negative 2 is going to be 2 plus 2, which is 4. And so we're going to have 2 plus 1, which equals 3. Okay, so then we're going to be at negative 2. So we go over 1, 2, and we go up 1, 2, 3. And then we have 3 points, so we can roughly sketch our radical function. And that's it. That is the square root of 2 minus x plus 1. You can, again, always use your graphing calculator. You really don't have to do these completely by hand. It's good to know what's done because you are going to be asked what transformations do occur. But you can always check what you graph per your graphing calculator. And then so tables are super helpful. All right, the last portion of 3.3 is sketching graphs within stretches and compresses. So we have x cubed, right? So if you go, I'll give you a second if you'd like. But we have our parent function. Notes, if you also want that like blank sheet, there's also that available that has like all the parent functions as well as their domains. So if we're talking about x cubed, it's that little, I'm going to sketch a little function like this, like that. Okay, that's like my little parent function, okay? So I always need my origin right here, and then I also want I want 2 on this side, 2 on this side. So I need about 5 coordinate points. So let's just go ahead and graph the parent function. I know I like roughly sketched it, but let's go ahead and plot true points on that. I'm going to erase that. Oop, my eraser went away. Hold on. Okay. So the origin for a cube root is 0, 0. And then if let's just pick 1. I mean, 1's always the easiest one. So if I have -1 cubed, that's going to be -1. If I have 1 cubed, that's going to be 1. And then it's important to pick the next point to show that it really exponentially grows. So we can pick -2, because -2 is going to go to -8. And then 2 is going to go to 8. Like so. And then now we have our function. Okay, so this is the parent function. We've already talked about that. Okay, here, all right, this is 1/4. 1/4 of our function is being, or 1/4 on the outside. If this is on the outside, instead of our grouping symbols, we're going to have our compression, because 1/4 is less than 1. So that means this is going to be a vertical compression. Okay. So with vertical compressions, you'll notice the shortening of the points because it is with our values of fractions. So they're compressing our values. So we have 1/4 and then it's being x cubed. So we can do a table, or you can just use your graphing calculator depending on what you have accessible to you. So we can just do a quick table just so you can see. So we have x and then we have y. We're just going to mirror the points of a parent function. So x, y, we have 0, 0, we have 1, 1, we have -1, -1, we have 2, -8, or sorry, +8, and then we have -2, -8. We're going to mirror these two as much as we can to make it a little bit easier. So if we have 0, 0, obviously we're going to have 0, 0 here. So it's going to stay the same. We don't shift anywhere, so it's not changing our, basically our reflection point. And so 1, 1, if I have 1, 1, I'm actually going to have 1, 1/4, right? And then if I have -1, I'm going to have -1/4. And then if I have 2, I'm going to have a value of 2. And then if I have -2, sorry, my thing is like all of a sudden not wanting to write. 2, 2, I'm going to have -2 and 2. And again, that's just because I'm plugging in 2, I'm cubing it, and then timesing it by a 4th. So it's going to, 2 cubed is 8. 8 times a 4th is 2. Okay, so now let's graph this. I'm going to pick a different color so you can see it. Blue. Okay. So 1 1/4 about right here. 1 1/4 about here. And then we have 2, 2, 2, 2. So notice it's compressing it to flatten it out vertically. So vertically, I'm getting a compression of points. Okay? So again, table to double check your coordinates, and then you can also check your coordinates with your graphing calculator. So again, you don't have to use a graphing calculator for this quiz, but it is helpful, but you can't. You have your for function as well, but if you have your own personal graphing calculator, you can. This is a typo on the notes. Forgot to put an actual function there, but we'll just describe what happens here. So if I have a function with 2 on the outside of function f of x, it's on the outside, right, of my parentheses. So if it's on outside parentheses, that means it's vertical. And it's the value of 2, which is greater than 1, so it's going to be a stretch. Okay? Letter B, looking at this 2. This is inside grouping symbol. Okay? It is going to be horizontal because it's inside the grouping symbol. And it's going to be 2, which is greater than 1. Instead of a stretch, it is a compression for our horizontal function. Okay? All right. last part, because we only got a couple left. We got 2 left, okay? I would recommend pausing, doing these by yourself, Okay, you're paused. Cool, great. Hopefully, maybe you paused, you come back, all right? A, let's sketch the graph. We have 4x cubed. This is going to be outside the grouping symbol. There's no parentheses, so this is a vertical stretch. The numbers are going to get big here. That's fine. We can just stretch them out, you know? Why not? Okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to do a table. So we have x, y. Obviously, we're going to have 0, 0. That's always a good point to start. Because it is the cubic, remember, it's going to be like this. So we're going to pick to the right of 0 and to the left of 0. So if we pick -1, also let me shift this 0, 0 down. Oop. Okay. 0, 0. We'll pick -1. -1 cubed is going to be -1 times -4, -4. Pick a -2. -2 cubed is 8. 8 times 4, we have -32. And then this is a mirrored function, so it's going to have the same values on the other side. And let's graph. So 0, 0, we have 1, 4, -1, 4. And then we have 2, 32. And that's obviously going to be off my graph, but that's okay. We can put it off the graph, no big deal. And then we go down that way. And we graphed it. Easy peasy. Okay? So again, table, best friend. Graphing calculator, even a better friend, because you can check your answer. All right, last and final one of the notes. Looking here, we have a double whammy. We have a vertical stretch because the value of A is greater than 1 because it's 2. Why did I write a letter B? 2 greater than 1. So it's a vertical stretch. But we also have a reflection on the x-axis. Okay? And then last but not least, that's the first one. That's the second one. Our third and final one is we're going right 3. Because there's no reflection here, so it doesn't change the value of my 3. So let's do our vertex, because remember, parabolas are going to have that middle point right there. So I'm going to graph my vertex first. So a stretch does nothing to my vertex, right? If it's 0, it's not going to change it. So I'm going right 3. And I'm going to have my vertex here. Okay? If I want to do a table, that's fine. Normally it's like 1, 1, etc., etc. So I can do my table here. X, Y. My vertex is at 3, 0. And we can pick probably about 1 point to the left, 1 point to the right. So we can pick, let's do -1. Or that's a positive 1. We can do +1. And because we took 1 away, we'll do 5. Okay? So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do -2. Make sure, like, if you go to plug this in your calculator, you use the negative button, not the subtraction button. They are not the same thing, okay? So make sure, again, that you put a -2 or it's not going to graph. So if I pick 1, I do 1 minus 3, which is -2, -2 squared, and then times it by -2. So that means I'm going to have a -8. Okay? Let's say I pick 5. 5, because it's a parabola, it's on the same distance. So this is -4 or +1, 1, or sorry, it reflects down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because I picked the same distance from 3 to 1 and 3 to 5, I'm actually going to have the same point here. But, I mean, if you did the math, you're going to get -8 too. So it's going to show you that's going to be the same coordinate points. But, again, parabola is going to have the same mirrored points. So that's the easiest part about it. And then that's it. You're done. And then you can also double check, like if you know that you're reflected, you know if you're N instead of a U, you know you're correct. you shifted that way as well. And again, checking your answer on your graphing calculator, and then also your values in your table. And that's it. That's all the notes for 3.3. They're pretty straightforward. There is going to be a extra delta math along with the homework that if you want to practice before your quiz tomorrow. Can't use anything on your quiz but your smart brain and a graphing calculator. Okay, make sure you bring your own. You can only use the 4-function calculators if you're borrowing one of my calculators. Okay? All right, y'all have a good time and see you next time. Bye.